Good morning, everybody. I'd like to thank and to dedicate this Dvar Torah. It's dedicated by the Franco and the Banish families, and it's in honor, a wonderful occasion, a great occasion of Colin's up and coming 80th birthday. And we wish you, Be'emet, on behalf not only of the families, the entire Kehillah, that you should have a lot of simcha and a lot of nachas and a lot of hatzlacha, and that you should have continued good health and happiness over here in Eretz Yisrael, and that everything that you want, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give you l'tovah. And we want to thank you and Maureen, Colin, that everything that you do for the shul, or the initiatives that you do, helping with the finances, etc., that everything should be good. So we thank you very, very much, the two families, for dedicating the Dvar Torah on this very joyous occasion. What I wanted to speak about is a very well-known pasuk. The Torah tells us in Parshat Tavo that there is, it speaks about the covenant that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Moshe submits the Jewish people on the eve of going into Eretz Yisrael, and speaks about Jewish destiny. And B'kitzur, the Torah, we all know it, the Torah speaks about the blessings and the curses, the terrible curses which have happened, unfortunately, during Jewish history. And when the Torah lists these curses, in fact, there's 98, 49, remember, it's quite this siman. 49 are mentioned in Vayikra, when we read in Parshat Bechokotai, and the longer version over here, just before going into Eretz Yisrael, is in Parshat Tavo is 98. Just again, in parenthesis, some people say that the 100 kolot of the shofar comes to negate basically those approximately the 98 plus curses that there are. Okay, to get back to the point, so amongst the curses, when the Torah delineates, so the Torah says a very shocking statement. It says that all this comes about tachat ashelo avadat et Hashem nokecha besimcha v'tov levav merov kol. That a contributing factor of all these curses, that you didn't serve Hashem, your God, besimcha, with joy, with happiness, uvatov leivav, and with goodness of heart, merov kol, when everything you had so much going for you. So there's, first of all, there are three explanations to this pasuk, and the main thing that we want to deal with in this very short Dvar Torah is just to briefly to raise the issue. How can it be that that such terrible curses and punishments come upon the people just in inverted commas, just because they didn't serve Hashem with joy and with happiness? This is what we want to deal with. So first of all, what's the pasuk saying? Tachat asher lo avadat et Hashem lokecha besimcha v'tuv levav. The one explanation is that you served Hashem, but when you did the mitzvot, you became smug, you became arrogant. That's how the Or Sameach learns. So in other words, what you did was you turned the mitzvot into a negative, because the whole point of a mitzvah is to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to fill one with humility. And here the mitzvot became a tool, or so to speak. The effect was to be arrogant, which is the exact opposite of what the Torah is all about. The second one is that you learn like this: Tachat asher lo avadat Hashem elokecha, comma. All these curses came because you didn't serve Hashem your God. And not only that, now comes the comma, and then comes the new word, besimcha. In other words, that you didn't serve Hashem and you couldn't care less. Besimcha means, and you did it with happiness. Many times, and that's an absolute tragedy, that people didn't live up to what they should have, be the individual, be the community, be the nation, but they were quite happy. they were happy that they didn't keep the mitzvot. So that's what brings about the punishment, that we can understand more. That's the second explanation. The third explanation is means that simply that you did serve. You did serve Hashem, but you did serve Hashem without joy, when everything, and without goodness of the heart. So let's just analyze this third explanation and the first explanation. Why should there be such a punishment? Because the Jewish people served Hashem without any joy. They served Hashem. Okay, so they didn't serve Hashem in an ideal way, but they served Hashem. So why should these things befall them? One of the ways to explain it, I mean, this is a topic that's a very large topic. I'm thinking actually of maybe this is going to be the topic of the Shabbat Shuvah Drasha. I'm thinking about it. But let's try to explain it in the negative. Again, what is the reason that the curses would come about for the Jewish people for serving Hashem but without joy? Many of the Mefarshim say because it shows that the service was no service at all. Because if the mitzvah that a person is doing, if there's service, the service must willy-nilly bring joy. Because what is a mitzvah? A mitzvah is a commandment, yes, it's a commandment which presupposes that there's a commander that is commanding it. And if a person now is doing the commandment of the commander, which is Hashem himself, the creator and master of the entire universe, how can he be in a state of not being simcha? That means that the person doesn't care at all about his creator. I'll give a mashal. Let me give a mashal, like a parable. Imagine that a person, he cooks food, or she cooks food, and either they couldn't be bothered that the food tastes nice. So then there's one or two things. If they're cooking for themselves and they couldn't care how the food tastes, so therefore that means that they couldn't care about the food. And if they, for example, cooking and they invited a guest, and now they also couldn't care about how the food tastes, they just like cook it, without finding like a good taste and a flavor, etc. of the food. So then it shows you they couldn't care about the guest either. So the same thing, a person who's doing a mitzvah is doing a mitzvah and he doesn't find taste in the mitzvah, he doesn't find joy in the mitzvah. So it's one or two things. It's either the height of disrespect to Hashem, that he can't find what is so great about what Hashem is now giving the person an opportunity of a life to do a certain mitzvah and to connect with him, or that he couldn't care about the mitzvah itself. In all our kol panim, according to both these explanations, the mitzvah then is not just of not doing it with happiness, is not just a matter of that, I should have done it, a mitzvah, I should have done the mitzvah, and now I should have added on like a +1. So now I didn't add the +1 by because there's an absence of joy. But what has happened now is that I'm actually doing a -1. Not only am I not adding on a mitzvah, what I'm doing is adding an avera, because I just to do a mitzvah without any joy, that just shows that there's no point. I don't see any point, chas v'chalila, to the mitzvah, and therefore I get no joy from it. So that's the explanation over here. With that in mind, I'd just like to end off with first of all, we on Erev Rosh Hashanah and Erev Yom Kippur, and we all know that on Erev Yom Kippur, what we do is that we have a Seudas mitzvah. We have a special meal just before Yom Kippur and is ushered in. The basic reason everybody knows is that the purpose of the meal is in order to make it easier for us to fast. So therefore, just before Yom Kippur comes in, what we do is we have this special meal, Suda Mafseket. But that's not how Rabbeinu Yonah learns. Rabbeinu Yonah says that we've got a meal on Erev Yom Kippur for two reasons. One reason is because to express our joy. Our joy is that the time has come where it's a day which, when we do tshuva, God will forgive us. So what can be such a happy occasion like that? So we express that joy on Erev Yom Kippur. Oh, the time has come now that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help us to absolve and to atone our veirot, and so we make a feast of joy. And then Rabbeinu Yonah says, and what does that show? That shows, according to this explanation, the confidence of tshuva, right? If a that we have this meal because we are confident that tshuva can help. And that if we'll do tshuva, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will accept our tshuva. Now the second is very interesting. Rabbeinu Yonah says, I'll just read it. He says, Ki b'shar yamim tovim anachnu kovim suda l'simcha mitzvah. Rabbeinu Yonah lived in the 14th century, 13th century. So Rabbeinu Yonah in his Sharei Tshuva, what he says is that, every single Yom Tov, we've got a meal to express our joy that the Yom Tov is there. And now what we're doing is on Yom Kippur, we can't express the happiness of the Yom Tov because we have to fast. So therefore what we do is we do it on Erev Yom Tov. So we do it Erev Yom Tov, and there he quotes from our Sidra, from our very Sidra, he says, Ki yigdal v'yishgeh ma'od schar hasimcha lamitzvot. We have this joyous meal on Erev Yom Kippur because, not like the first explanation, because we're happy that the time of atonement has come. This is because now we've got a mitzvah to fast, and we're happy to do the mitzvot. And the mitzvah now of Simcha is not only that I'm going to fast, but what I make a meal out of the fact that I've been granted such a mitzvah. And Rabbeinu Yonah says the Simcha of Seudah of Erev Yom Kippur is an expression of the Simcha per se. In other words, that it's not just as a means to get through the fast. It's not only an expression of thanks that what we're doing is we're happy that Yom Kippur is coming. It's an expression of joy that we've got the opportunity to do mitzvot. So over and above, you can see, according to Rabbeinu Yonah, it's fascinating. Not only is it enough, not only is it sufficient that on Yom Kippur we fast. What we have to do is we have to express that joy that of the fasting, of the mitzvah, and that we do on Erev Yom Kippur. That's how far this inyan of serving Hashem with joy, because that's a reflection that deep down we are attached to the Torah and mitzvot. And thank God that HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose us and gave us Torah and mitzvot in which we can connect with Him. And I'd like to end off that on Elul, there's some Hasidic Rabbanim who say that what we have to do on Elul is to strengthen our sense of simcha, of joy. They say, that's how they interpret the pasuk, which we say every single day in davening, Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha, serve Hashem with joy, bo'u lefanav, and then come to Him, before Him, birnana, with jubilation. So they interpret the pasuk, Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha, during Elul, then begin to serve Hashem and to strengthen one's service with joy, with simcha, and then bo lefanav, when we will stand before Him on Rosh Hashanah, then we'll be able to do that not only with trepidation, which we have to do, but we have to do it with jubilation, with a great sense of happiness that we zocher to stand before the King. Shabbat Shalom L'Kulam.